So today we're going to take a look at our Hacker's Handbook. This is a resource available in all of our GCSE courses. The screenshots we're showing you from the OCR course, but it's very similar. It's topics on sort of ethics and hacking and cybersecurity. So we've made that kind of interesting. We're going to explore that resource and how you suggest you use it with the students. So Dave, let's take a look.
Yeah, okay, so let's have a look then, Craig, at some pages from our workbook. Now, what we're showing on screen is the OCR J277 Unit 1.4 workbook and part of that workbook. But if you are a school that is offering AQA or the Pearson EdXL course, then there are very, very similar pages in the workbooks that you've got, but obviously in different topics. Now, this part of the specification should be really, really interesting, but sometimes it can feel a little bit dry, and especially if you just put PowerPoint slides up on the screen and you just go through them, you know, here are the forms of attack, here are the ways that you can prevent them, then it can be a little bit dull. What we want to do is try and give students an opportunity to be creative. Now, we don't do too many of these types of lessons, but effectively what we're saying to the students is create a little scrapbook. And so what we've got here is page 1, which is going to be about malware, and the students are going to put their creativity into this central region here. If I then go on to the next page, it looks very similar. This is going to be about phishing. And again, there's an area where they can get creative. Now, the little dotted line down here feels a little bit odd, but that's just because we're trying to say to the students, look, this could be, you know, a handbook. If we printed this out and we stitched it where the dotted line is, then it would be a little book. And so we carry on. We've got brute force attacks and we've got denial of service attacks, and whatever's in your specification, there will be a page for that. Now, obviously, this is going to take a number of lessons, and we would recommend that you probably take a lesson on each of these threats. Okay.
No, so I was just going to say, and obviously, if you're looking at this for the first time, you might think, well, what do the students do? Where's the direction? I can't just open them a scrapbook and say that. But obviously, we're providing support in the lessons. There's the teacher lesson plans, as we'll probably show you in a minute as well. If you haven't used these student workbooks, there are note sections. So we're showing you here the PowerPoint in full screen, but we have note sections at the bottom of each of these, which give the students instructions as to what they should be doing. And we also provide, if you haven't seen them already, full model answers of these workbooks. So obviously they can be used by the teacher to know what the student should be aiming for, and indeed you can use them to model example answers, which is good pedagogy anyway. So shall I bring up, Dave, a sort of model answer version of what a completed handbook may look like?
Yeah, let's take a look. So this has been created by me, so it's probably not the most inspirational version of this, okay? And you want to be careful that the students don't spend too long on the graphics. You know, there's a temptation that they spend ages looking for images, they look for fancy fonts that they can, you know, include on this, and they actually miss the learning objective. The learning objective here isn't, you know, to get the best picture or the best font. The learning objective here is obviously the substance of what's inside the book. But in order for it to be a creative task and allow them, you know, to make this a little bit more fun, then it is important that you give them an opportunity to be a little bit creative as well. So if I scroll through here, we can see the first one is malware. And the way we'd expect you to approach this is that students would give examples of what this thing is. So here with malware, you can see we've got virus and worm and Trojan, ransomware, spyware. And then a little description about what that means, and can they find a case study? So go searching and find something that was in the news about this that you know was a big deal, and bring that case study into their workbook. As I say, the presentation here isn't hugely creative, but you get the idea. And then critically, they want to put something in here about how the attack would be prevented. Where this is a little bit innovative is that we're saying to the students, do it from a hacker's perspective. You
Yeah.
are making a hacker's handbook. So if you were going to tell a hacker, what these things are and what they can do with them and how other people got caught out, then, kind of approach it from the hacker's perspective rather than just here's creating another boring PowerPoint presentation. That's not really the point. So if I scroll down to the next page, we can see something about phishing, and here is where I'm talking about doing it from the hacker's perspective. So I've said do it right, phishing done right, use the company's logo, tell them their account is at risk, tell them to act now, give them a URL to click. So all these little bits of advice which if you actually kind of teach this, you would teach it from the opposite angle and say here's how to spot a phishing email.
But of course, students are learning the same facts. They're learning the important stuff in the specification. They're learning the stuff they're going to have to be able to answer in the exam. You'll just hopefully engage them in something, slightly more interesting in what they're doing. Oh, yeah, we're going to be a hacker. Cool. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Which is why I've got that sentence in there that says, want to access bank accounts, credit card details, passwords, then get phishing. It's just looking at it from the hacker's perspective. So brute force attack, denial of service, and so on and so on. So that's our Hacker's Handbook resource. Allows you to have a few lessons where you can put your feet up and say to the students, look, what we want to do is create a handbook from the hacker's perspective. It's got to cover all these things that are on your slides, and I want you to include examples, I want you to include definitions, I want you to include what it's hacking or preventing, and I want you to include a case study, and within that brief, let them loose.
So as always, if you've got questions about our resources or further comments, please feel free to post them in Mission Control or send us an email at admin@craiganddave.co.uk, and we will always do our best to get back to you.